shortly before I retired from Atlantic Southeast Airlines, I started thinking about what I might do in retirement. Of course, I couldn't see myself doing nothing or just sitting around the house fixing things up or watching TV. So, and I love flying, so obviously that was my first line of thought, and that's probably really the only thing that I know how to do well. I used to be a flight instructor a long time ago, but I accidentally let it expire, my flight instructor certificate. So I thought, okay, I'll get rechecked out. You have to go take a refresher course and do a practical test with a designated examiner, but that would require renting an airplane. So I went to the local airport and I got an instructor to check me out in the airplane. I thought this would be a pretty simple thing. Now remember, I've been flying jets, fairly large jets, for 32 years. So I get in this Cherokee, it was a 140, and everything's fine, take off, and I fly around. Okay, time to come and land. Well, I was flaring out too high, or I was just having a very difficult time over-controlling, et cetera, et cetera. So anyway, I took a couple lessons there. That got expensive, and I just got really discouraged. So I went on some of these online search engines to find who might be hiring. And Imagine Air, the name of the company was Imagine Air, up in Lawrenceville, was hiring guys for a single pilot 135 operation using the SR-22, the Cirrus. So they paid me as they taught me how to fly the little airplane. So that was. But anyway, I was sincerely was going to work for them. I wasn't putting them on, but trying to take advantage of them. But so it took me, went through ground school, got the flight training, took the check ride, passed, everything was fine. Started flying people around and really enjoyed the job. I remember, of course, that at ASA it was a 121 carrier, and after 9/11 the door was slammed shut, and I never talked to passengers, didn't have any contact with, very little contact with them, unless it was at the gate or boarding or getting off the airplane. So this was a refreshing thing. 135, there's no cockpit door. You're sitting there, the passenger is sitting right here on your right side, and then there's two seats behind, so it's three passengers is all we could carry in that airplane. The Cirrus, remember, the Cirrus is fixed gear, reciprocating engine propeller with the parachute thing in case everything goes bad. Anyway, I really enjoyed that job, but well, one day we were, it was a couple that I picked up in Lawrenceville, I believe, yes, and we're going to fly them down to Destin, Florida, which just happens to be where I am right now. I'm in the middle of a trip and killing some time making little videos. But anyway, they were going to Destin. So they sat in the back seat. I briefed them, told them, okay, here's the seat belts, here's the emergency exits, here's the fire extinguisher. It's going to take an hour and 5 minutes, whatever it was, to get there. Any questions, let me know. There's a little cooler there with some water and some Pepsis and whatnot. Oh yeah, we're fine. We've flown before with these folks. Okay, well, I'm Robin. Let me know if you need something. If it gets too hot or too cold, tap me on the shoulder. Might have a few little bumps, but it's just nothing serious. When we get there, what do we do? What do you need? Somebody to want me to call ahead on the radio to transportation? Oh no, we've got it all settled. Okay, well, fire the airplane up, take off. Lawrenceville, I did get permission to fly over the top of Atlanta International, which was fun, to the most direct route. But and I knew that there was some weather in the area down in that area. So we're approaching from the northeast, and there was a line of weather, thunderstorms between us and Destin. I was aware of that, but there were breaks in it, and there normally is some kind of break where you might be able to work your way through it. We also had the NEXRAD display, and I was perfectly aware that that's can be up to 5 to 10 minutes old, the display, but I'm watching the display and I can see breaks in the thunderstorms. So it looks cool. I think we can make bubbles. As we get closer, we can always divert. There's plenty of good weather before that line of thunderstorms, so we could land at any particular place, no problem. As we get a little bit closer and closer, and it's getting a little bit more solid, but I still see places where looks like we might be able to find our way through and not be too rough or dangerous. It certainly wasn't going to expose anybody to danger. I certainly knew enough not to do that. I've been flying long enough for that. But anyway, air traffic controller calls me and says, your company requests that you divert into Apalachicola. Well, I don't have a problem with that. So I turn, it does have an autopilot, by the way. I turn around, I talk to them and explain the situation. Said, hey, we need to go to an airport and land for a little while till this weather passes by. It's only going to be maybe 3 hours, maybe 4 at the most. But we're going to land at Apalachicola. And so we let down into Apalachicola. We land. It's like a really small airport, and sort of a rundown fixed base operator. No offense, but very nice people. They met us and you need something? I said, well, we're just going to sit here for a couple hours, like just tie the airplane down. He said, well, we've got a car if you want to borrow the car to go into town. And I said, well, yeah, I guess that'd be good. Let's go get something to eat. And the couple said, well, yeah, I've been here a long time ago, and there's this little restaurant downtown, so let's go. So we drive down there to the restaurant. Really good seafood restaurant. I wish I knew the name, but I don't know if anybody ever goes to Apalachicola on purpose. But a very small town. But this is a little restaurant, sort of ratty looking, but right on the water, the bay, and it was really good food. I excused myself. We put the orders in. I excused myself and called up operations and said, hey, you know what? We've inconvenienced these people somewhat. Do you mind if I pay? If the company used the credit card to pay for dinner for these folks? Oh yeah, that's a good idea. Yeah, because we want to make the people happy, right? And this is a little bit of an inconvenience. I explained why we're diverting, so they were perfectly happy about doing it, as opposed to flying through these thunderstorms and maybe dying. It's not hard to explain to people why we're diverting and landing, right? I wouldn't have put them in that situation no matter what. They really didn't have a choice. This is what I was going to do, but I explained it in a way that made them feel part of the process. Here's why we're doing this. It's not just, by the way, we're going to this airport. It's like, let's discuss it. Let's make them feel like they get part of it. So anyway, go back to the table. We eat, and they says, oh, here, let me buy you some wine. I said, no, I think maybe I'll just postpone. Not right now. I think maybe I'll, because we do want to fly in a couple of hours, right? Oh yeah, it's fine. So they had a few drinks, and we had a really nice meal. Got back out to the airport in the fixed base operator's car that they lent us, back to the airport, and checked the weather, and the weather was cleared up, so we took off, and we arrived, like 3 or 4 hours later than we were planning on arriving, but we were safe, and it was a smooth flight, and the weather was gone. So anyway, it was just one of those fun things, unexpected things, but things where it's really easy to help passengers understand why we're doing that. And we had the ability to do that. If we'd have been in the airlines with the door locked shut, it would have been really hard to communicate that over the public address system to the passengers. Here's why we're doing it. And I certainly couldn't have taken, 50 to 75 passengers out for a free dinner. So we had a really good time. Really nice, pleasant couple, really laid back, but I'm not sure, but I think they were going on honeymoon or some kind of thing like that. So anyway, that was just one of my funny little stories about flying in my retirement. That company went out of business after about 7 months, I believe. And I got a job with another 135 operator, and that's what I'm doing right now. And that's why I'm back in Destin, Florida for the overnight and talking into this telephone to you. Good night.